Cloud. Hi, good morning. Welcome to the Blackletter Brunch. Our presenter today is teacher, calligrapher, and artist Ann Miller. Ann is looking forward to sharing with you the story behind a large wedding event that she has been working on for the last year and a half. And that it was a major project, and you'll have to tell us more about it.
Which I will do. I am going to, well, I'll just give you a little bit of background. Uh, I've known this client for almost 30 years, and she came to me as an interior designer. She just needed a few cards written in calligraphy, and so I did that, which was back in the 90s, late 90s. And then we did a few small things. And then I started working with her more fully in the early 2000s and with doing watercolors and uh, some design. Anyway, I knew that her daughter, I followed her daughter growing up. She was like her mother, into horses and equestrian and competitive also. She was in a recent show in Spain. So, she really takes takes it seriously. And but they're I knew that she would eventually get married, and I hope I would live long enough to help her out with this wedding. But anyway, uh, she uh, she called me last, oh, maybe it was November of 24, and we started working on this thing in January of 2025, and it took up um, what you would call not free time exactly, but there was work on it every week going for the rest of the year and a half. So we were, and it was a pleasure because we worked so well together, and we cover the same ground. It was very helpful that she is an excellent designer. So anyway, um, that was nice. And of course, it covers calligraphy and painting, which you is just, like heaven. And so anyway, uh, the wedding was May 16th. So I've finally got my head out from under that, and it always feels good that you can at least change your course. Anyway, I think we could just talk. And when I'm going through this thing, I just made a PDF and I'm going to go slide by slide. And you can interrupt anytime to ask questions about tools or stuff. But I wanted to just, uh, it's kind of rare to have such a complicated thing going on. Um, so I think it would be interesting. Um, And here we are. Okay. Can you see this? Whoops.
Yeah, I can see it. It's in full screen mode, so it looks great.
Okay. Now, so um, I did several things before this one, but somehow they've disappeared from my hard drive, and you know how that goes. Back in the 90s. So it may have been having to do with a power computing machine that I had at that time. Anyway, here we have, she said, I'm celebrating my 40th birthday, giving a party. And so I had to draw her leaping over the 40th year and used a kind of a a it's a hodgepodge hand with some things that I don't do anymore. Is that like on the end, that end that slants out somehow? It was seemed to be popular at the time, but I've it's fallen out of my favor in a way, so I don't use that anymore. But still, uh, um, she likes something casual and sort of jaunty and not too careful or precise. So that's how that turned out. And uh, I like autumn colors a lot. So this appealed to me. And the next couple of years later, somebody named Zach had a party, and she gave this for him, probably a dear friend. But again, I used a kind of an upright, I don't know what it is, an upright italic, and um, I put him in a room, kind of a line. We always talk about the person, and she describes what he likes. So he was obviously a golfer, kind of sporty, but uh, or sort of a English gentry model, I suppose. So I used the those leaves to decorate a kind of a frame for him. And these were the menus. They're 10 inches square and um, on the setting when everyone arrives at the table. Something else that she did was to enter the those designers showcase competitions in San Francisco. They're also on the peninsula, but the Interior Designers Association, I think, puts them together. So they have an empty mansion with many rooms, and the designers uh, put they pay for a room to redecorate. So they will all go out and get the carpets, and they would just redecorate the room. But what my client did was to bring me the fabrics that she had chosen to go on the sofa. She had pictures of the styles of furniture and all everything that you see in the room, other than what I make up, uh, was going to go in that room. So my task was to take a photo of the empty room and fill it and populate it with all of her chosen pieces. So we have the round table with a double skirt and the ottoman and then the whole theme. Um, and so what the designers do, each one in their room will put up a presentation board, but she was the only one who did this particular step. Other people would maybe do a simple rendering, like a architect's rendering, black and white schematic, and then show the different like carpet swatches and things so that other designers can go through and visualize um, their their own future work. So it's teaching for their community, and it's also great for the people who make all the different products. It's really very stimulating to the whole design area. And so my favorite thing was being able to use my own in, scribbles on the paintings and the floral arrangements and stuff. So anyway, I love doing stuff like that. It's a little bit technical, and it's also just really fun to imagine, and not to be too careful about the perspective. Try to be perfect, but you know how that goes. Um, anyway, and I use my lamp over here in this one. This was another one. Actually, I don't know when that I'm getting confused about the dates, but that was 2008, and just another one of the same things. But she'd say put a sculpture there, and so I would do my own idea on that, and a painting in the back. I would just do that, uh, make my own painting. But and this is my plant too. She wanted a tall plant in the corner, so I had my plant that looked pretty much like that. And I got a picture of that. It was um, mirror and this little table over here, and the various other pieces I had, plus this little sort of Indian table that seems to be floating above the zebra skin. Not sure how that goes, but it's just fun to do and get the thing in spatial arrangement. So that was my prior stuff that I did with my client. And this is what she sent me. She called me and said, Madeline's getting married. So um, I said, well, do you have something in mind for the tone and the style? And she sent me this. Um, so like kind of blousy, scattered imagery. It's flowers, a lot of flowers, and she liked this wording. So that's where we started. And oops. Okay, now what have I got? This one. Okay, wait a minute back. How do I go back? There we are. Okay, so I did uh I did the drafts of the calligraphy for the wedding. We were trying to figure out um the styles of writing, of course. And this is I did with a Tombow Fudonosaki uh brush tip, hard brush tip. And I scribbled that out and she said, "Oh, it's perfect." So I thought, well, I should try a little bit harder, but we put these things together, and you know how you can fix everything in Photoshop, or some things anyway. So that would be the brush script, which we would use to highlight the important things, and add a casual, jaunty, very, very action-oriented type. Because remember, these are show jumpers, people. They they don't slow down. So and then these two I had to make recently. I mean, this morning I made these two, which is why they're too big. But I had to add them in after the PDF was made. So um, it was hard to resize these ones. Anyway, a lot of motion and just placement, whether or not to overloop this B, and how to keep energy with and uh, um, consistency is the deal. So let's see. Um, so I nailed down the brush script. And then we had to come up with a design starting with the one I previously showed you. So she sent me a list of flowers that she'd like to incorporate, and the accent is definitely on a lot of flowers, which they grow there. They live on a ranch, and uh, they so everything is just big and natural and loose. So we have the like fescue in the foreground and flowers, and the couple has a dog, a little doxy, and so I thought he should be in there somewhere. So you'll see where he ends up. But anyway, that was the initial drawing. And paperless post was the save the date venue. So we use paperless post to send out the email of the save the date cards. So I made up this. I in the process I did all of these individual drawings of flowers and composited them uh, for whatever I wanted to do. So I made a whole suitcase full of flowers, and so we have the save the date um, thing, Madeline and Stottie, and all done with that brush script. And then this one, which I'll show you in a minute. What I'll show you in a minute. But anyway, this is the invitation, and everything in here is placed in Photoshop on many layers and composited to make the bouquet. And we decided on a pink ribbon that was going to be on everything to tie the whole package together. And then I have my little signature, which is done in runes. It's AM in Elder Futhark. So I put that in everywhere. And that is that. So we have allium and lilac, columbine, and all sorts of stuff. Now, the invitations came out all similar, but oh, and I did them through LCI.com. Most of you probably know it. I don't know, but anyway, they have wonderful paper, great selection of colors, envelope from cotton or whatever kind of paper you want. Um, and um, I used them for both the printing and for the papers that we used. Um, let's see. This paper is by uh, forgotten GU. I've forgotten the name of the paper, but it starts with GU. It's the only one. So if you go to LCI paper, you'll see that this kind of paper comes in many colors. And of course, we used wedding white. Um, it was an outdoor wedding and an outdoor dinner. But on Thursday, the first day, and everybody came, then got put up in the foothills of California. They're in hotels and various spots around, but there were a lot of people. There were 250, and we eventually needed 30 tables, which started out with 25 and it grew. But anyway, on this, see, I changed my mind to connect all of these letters so that you have the overlap through there just for interest and cohesion. And then I chose, and it doesn't quite show up on the screen here, but it looks gray, but it's a very pinkish gray, which tones in with everything, and it's uh, kind of gentle in terms of the writing. And yeah, my upright italic or hodgepodge uh, text. What else? Uh, had to have a lasso. Okay, and here we took the flowers again and repurposed them into a new thing with balloons to celebrate the liftoff, the rehearsal dinner, and that was on the next evening. Um, and with the ribbon picking up with the balloons. Oop, okay. Now, uh, let's see. Um, can you see the whole uh, invitation? I think I need to put this thing on the
Yeah,
side.
yeah, I can see the whole thing
Good.
from top to bottom. Yeah.
Yeah.
It bleeds off the left-hand side, but I think that's intentional.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, on this the RSVP, this was um, a uh, a little begonia that was on my porch. So I took advantage of everything that's on my porch uh, to fund the flower uh, bank. Anyway, we've got this one. And what they did instead of having cards was just to RSVP on the web page, and then the browser, I think, probably 5 millimeter for the RSVP, and I used a browser 2 or 3 for the all of the text, which I scanned at 400, no, 600. I think I just scanned it at 400. Wait a minute. No, images were scanned at 400, and the text I scanned at 600 DPI. So then I could work with it more easily in Photoshop. And I used a size larger for the under the open sky, and it still wasn't enough. So what I did on that particular line of text was add a point, 0.1, no, point, like a tenth of a point of the same color as an outline uh, stroke. So uh, yeah, these things have to be managed in Photoshop and Illustrator fairly heavily in order to get the consistency. Anyway, I'm showing you most of my flowers. These look a little bit more dim or dark because they haven't been shifted in color on the same page. So, um, but you know, I I achieved them um, from going into garden websites and getting really detailed flower photos, uh, take a screenshot, uh, and then just paint. It's kind of freehand. I'll look at the photograph and then just paint it, because I have my degrees in painting. So I've been been through the mill and the years, so it's more fun than difficult, and there's lots of leeway. But still, you have to watch out for where you're whether you've got six or seven, because you're going to get somebody who says, "Well, this particular flower, it doesn't have seven, it's got six," or the little petals and sepals and all that stuff. So it has to be imaginative but accurate at the same time. Anyway, that's my thought on it. Um, I showed you that one because that is one sheet of the actual page that I did on a 12 by 18 watercolor piece paper. So I just give enough space around so they're not crowded and I can crop them out and use them and not use a whole lot of paper. Anyway, that is how I did them. And then these are the ones I did. And this is more of the color uh, of like the yarrow. All of these are fairly accurate in color because they've been adjusted in Photoshop to be what they are supposed to be. So I've got the calendula, the anemone, bird's eyes, allium, a proteus, and cornflower, bachelor button, and then these I composited also the daylily, the fescue, and columbine, rock rose, blanket flower, which stands out among the rest, and Shasta daisies and the little blue-eyed grass, and lilac, zinnia, and sweet peas, dahlia, and lupin, and uh, apricot something or other,
Mallow.
mallow. Yes, you're right. So, and this, we added this one in, which I already had, because the tables were added uh, right at the last minute. So I had to express some more table cards up to the client. And okay, this is what my draft sheets look like. I did them on uh, Pro Layout, Kenson Pro Layout, and just just freehand um, on guideline on the light table with guidelines underneath. So these are the scientific names, and I did the actual common names larger, but in the same way, but with a larger pen. But the uh, the browser makes nice, crisp entry serifs, um, and it just works really well. Okay, so here this how they came out. Um, as as cards. So these were about I think four. I forgot how big they are. I've got one right here. I can measure it. They are 4 by 8 fold, and they're 8 by 8 folded in half. So I printed these on my HP color laser jet and composited them so that they would bleed, so which meant that I had to trim uh, a half inch off one side and uh, just a bit off the bottom. But I made them so I only had to make two cuts in each page. And you can see how this one shows at the bottom, the fuchsia. That would have been the edge of the fold right there. And yeah, and then I did the numbers, a whole page of numbers with the Tombow N15 brush pen. And I did them quite large um, on, I mean, any kind of paper will do. They were a little brushy, um, but I loaded all of these numbers into Illustrator and did the image trace and um, then isolated them as um, uh, single file, no background. What do you call those? Um, so I had those on the desktop of Illustrator, so I could just choose the numbers and drag them up into the document with with all those files in it. Yes, I know it's a lot of tech, but that's how the big one looked. And that's once I sent them to her, that's how they looked. We chose the clear bases with a slot. And so what I had to do before I sent these uh, is I have some double back tape that's an 1/8 inch wide. And so I put a strip of it at each corner inside the card. So now it's lying flat, but it's still a bit too loose and could be blown out of the slot of the the holder. So I put an extra strip in the center back on the back side, and then that uh, would be the protective strip was removed, and then it stuck into the holder perfectly, so it wouldn't move. But these are things that take time to research, talk over, and you know, you've got to be efficient with your time, and it's a bit, it seems hectic all the time, but once they're done, oh, that looks nice. Anyway, so what I used for the mapping of this thing and it's my favorite one, Balzano Standard. And that uh, you just lay it out, and then you could put it on a light table and write on it so that your spacing stays the same. and it saves time, and you're still, don't worry, there's plenty of creativity going in. You can copy and trace as much as possible. Anyway, that's that. Yeah. So, and then the flap was very deep. This is centered in the flap, but the flap goes the Euro flap goes almost to the bottom of the envelope. So, um, it looked nice. And then I dressed one to myself. You can see a little bit better the tone of the ink. It's kind of a gray lavender. And we found these wonderful floral stamps. 2 ounce, just have to put 1 ounce on there. But they have 5 parties. So, or, there were 5 things to insert in this envelope. And then the bar menu, I just printed up about a dozen of these to send to her and on index stock, and they got put behind plastic holders that are the same size, and that worked out. And then we had to design the menu. So this was the first design I did, um, thinking that, and we used this is an old menu. Anyway, I thought, well, we'll put the granary there, and she mentioned there's one building on their property, and then a fence, and then of course the fescue, which is all over the place. So that was my first one, and so that turned out it was too blue, and so I came up with another one, um, and this is I think I used Hahnemühle watercolor block, and it was okay, but it has a soft texture, which isn't too bad for writing. And this also was nicer, but not quite what she wanted. So too blue, and of course the dachshund was not working out. It looks like a, I don't know, an anteater. Anyway, oh wait, let's see. Where's the other one? Okay, that's another one. I had to do a lot of mock-ups. Ah, yes, this one. I took out most of the blue and had it. The idea was just to have a very golden im feeling. So I thought that looked pretty good, except for the dog, which needed a bit more oomph. And then just by the way, here are all the flowers. We started with the thinking about the table. So we started about this, that was about last October. So I was compiling trying to get how we're going to put all the people in and to get them to know where the table was. So we did this, and then we were going to have a seating chart with the names alphabetized, but we never used this thing. And here's other prep. The bride, since I found out that we're not going to do the granary and the fence post at all on the the dinner menu, uh, we're going to have a portrait of the couple. So I thought this just floored me in November. I thought, oh, because, portraits take a lot of energy. Anyway, and time. So anyway, this is what the bride decided on for her dress over here in the upper left. And then they got a dressmaker to put it together, and they found this sort of the striped material. First, I thought it was going to be like this, so I did a mock-up with that one. And and then we have tucks in the front, and then the drape here. The drape looked pretty good, so that was enough to go on, and the skirt underneath. And then the other prep drawings were I had to do some after many attempts. I tried to get their, just concentrate on their facial portraits, and you can see what a mess they are. I'm thinking rogues gallery, you know, crime shot. And I'm okay with the dog here, and then of course that. But it's coming together a little bit over here, but the proportions are all off. Heads are too big, and I've just, and then my client says, "Well, my daughter, she just looks like Frida Kahlo, so don't worry about any any resemblance or one brow thing because that's how she looks." And so, but I'm trying to get into these people, not knowing them, and not and every picture she sent of me, they were laughing and drinking, and and then I said, "Well, what kind of expression do you want on these people as they're coming up the path?" Oh, she said, "Oh, just serious, looking at straight ahead." I said, "Well, you know, give me some serious straight ahead shots, please." It's that you have to span the gap. What the other, I always figure out what the other person is thinking. So anyway, I got down to this, and that actually it's great in pencil, and I did it on watercolor paper, but just to get the feeling. And she said, well, just a blue suit and a anyway. I did look for I had to Google couple walking together, hands held, uh, for a wedding. I had to Google all the search words just went bananas, and I finally found. I should have showed you that. I should have. This the people. I found a couple that were just walking like this. I was so grateful for the web, and um, so I went from that and got a little closer on smooth paper. Um, Another one, and then I had all these questions. What's the pattern? How many tucks? Do they go all the way down? Bracelet? Is she wearing a necklace? Spaghetti strapped? How is it? So we had long conversations after they finally decided what they were going to be wearing. Oh, there it is again. How did that happen? Okay, so then I made the panorama, another piece. So this is going to go in back of the uh, dinner menu. And also, she decided last fall to she said, I want to make some standing panels. Oh, I should have put a picture of that in too. So she sent me some 12-foot standing panels that somebody had used for an event. And she said, I want to make standing panels with this we could reuse the drive. But what a backdrop of the same kind of scene and with flowers and announcing the wedding. So, which you saw on uh, the event, this event. So anyway, we have the final menu finally. Um, and the little guy over here on the left. And so that was the first one. At first, I put a bow tie on him. No, that was not right. Um, and then little guy on the right. and we're working on the new, this is the final idea for the dress. And it actually turned out that the dress was quite different. There were only like three giant blue and white stripes on this on her, on the skirt, the top skirt. So anyway, that does not matter, but the bottom part needed to be worked on. So I did this, and that worked out all right. And then that was the composite of the panels, which I which had to be made in strips. So I had to divide it up in separate PDF files and send them to the printer, who did a great job. American Printing over in the East Bay. They are in Hayward, I think, or Fremont. And I've used them for 25 years, I know. But at, they could do everything from like $8,000 for the quote to down to maybe 2,500. So we went with the 2,500, which was printing them out on big strips, big rolls of paper, wide format. They're 36 by, I think it turned out to be 11. We reduced it one foot because the researching the plywood turned out that and we were down to the wire here. We're about 10 days. Well, I was three weeks away when I had the art done, but all of the logistics landed somewhat poorly, uh, to my way of thinking, because the printing company uh, were involved in a huge 24/7 job that made them start a week later on my work. I kept wondering what the heck is happening. So anyway, we printed them out and rolled them up and FedExed them to the client, and they arrived on a Friday. The wedding, it had to be installed by the following Wednesday. So my client had a crew there taking care of all the build outs. They manage the fences, all the farm stuff that requires wood and metal. So they made the metal stanchions that went into the ground and buried a foot of this piece, um, and then also held the plywood panels that were supported and braced. Uh, Somehow they did it, and they stapled it all around. So um, anyway, this was going to be so that people could, well, it's just to be beautiful, of course, but also to take pictures in front of. And I'll just, so they, that's how it looks up close on the day. And it worked out pretty well, as I think very well, actually. And on the back, um, we had the seating chart. And this is how this came out. This was also divided into three strips. And that they had to make a few changes with the tables, but it worked out well. And it started out being called seating chart, and that just sounded so harsh. So we said, find your table. And so that was that. And really, that is. that is all all I've been able to put together on this. I should have uh, shared more things, which I could probably do in the remaining time if you wanted to see anything. If you have questions about any of the materials or let's see. Oh, yeah, sending oh, there's another thing. They sent uh, the the bride and groom are living in Berlin, and so we had to make up a whole batch of invitations sent to them so they could stamp them in Germany and send them out from there. So that was another thing, and it cost quite a bit to send this little box of invitations through FedEx. I think it was, I don't know, maybe $88 to send it, and the customs tariffs and whatnot. That bill came in later, and it was 200 and some odd dollars. So yeah, there it is. Not that I'm penny pinching or anything like that, but you know, I didn't really, you can't get a quote on it, nobody will tell you. So it's hard, you got to figure out the scope of work and the costs, and that takes quite a bit of time too. You get the whole booklet going. So is there anything else that you want to see on this share screen before I go back to real life?
Well, I like to see the process. I mean, it's fun to see the process that you go through in creating all this, and I like it's interesting to see. I thought that the panels came out very well. The three panels that were posted at the entrance,
Right.
the colors are look really good.
They did a great job. It looks just like it was supposed to, and I was so worried. But there's a lot you have to think about when your file, like my file was like 3 GB. I don't know how, because I wasn't watching. Well, I wanted to make sure everything was there, but I didn't know how much they needed to uh, to reproduce, to how much they needed to receive in order to make what they need to make. So I sent them the whole thing, but I think I could have done much less and still had it come out fine. But anyway, um, I'm going to stop the share and um, I could um, I could show you one like the panels. I could look for things like the panels. I don't know what. Uh,
Well, and not unless it's available immediately, but I think that was very interesting to see. I liked the calligraphy. I liked the brush calligraphy and the that kind of it, italicized Carolingian or
yeah,
whatever.
it's just my own take on it. It's just not like achieving anything particularly, because in a workshop you want to really achieve the thing down to the micromillimeter, and and that's fine. That's
Mm.
what we have to do. But I don't know. Let me. I've got my file here, and I think I can show like this.
So those are your original
That's
trials.
starting to figure out uh, what works. So I would make a few names like this, and then scan them in and put them in the layout, see if it worked. and then whatever worked best as far as when you get it down to the size that you want. Um, is it too bold, or is it too light, or do you lose the hairlines? And uh, so I make a few words, scan them in, see if they worked, and then just go for the full page. And the full pages would be like that, and and then for folding and this is all I did. I tore a piece off, but this is my template. It's just on the back of a page, and I use that for folding uh, the table cards and centering the little dot down there, centering the double back tape, and yeah, and then whatever the folding line, yeah. So it's really not fancy. Okay,
Elis-
yeah,
Elisabar found it was she was happy to learn about LCI papers.
good, good, good. Oh yeah, let me put the chat on. Oh yeah, LCI so helpful. They sent me I said, uh how do I know this the proof you're sending is the right? It just looks off because, a phone shot is always dim and fuzzy. So they sent me a really good phone shot that worked, and I could say, well, I can tell right now that everything is going to be perfect. And she assured me, and they work with you in person, and so you're in touch with uh, someone on your email. Um, so you really have down to the nubbins discussion about the details. So they're really helpful. This kind of thing I did, these are just the pictures that I worked from for, yeah. So those are my models other than the real life. And then, yeah, this is the
Oh,
back.
that's pretty.
Yeah, it's just a really nice color. Why that fuzzy?
No, that's clear. Yeah,
Fine. Okay,
turn address.
my eyes. Um, yeah, this is the little thing I did. Just trying to just sit in front of their faces and study them. Uh, oh yeah, here, this is what I wanted. Okay, here, this page. Um, okay, that's just writing on the light table on top of uh, guidelines. I use oh gosh, many years ago, the group called Illuminandi. Are you familiar with anybody? Anyway, they provided guidelines for calligraphers, and there's a whole packet. I will send it. I can send it to you of guidelines for 10 point, 12 point, 18 point, whatever. Uh, they're all there, and I've been using them for years. So I could send them to you, Raul, if you want to send them out to everybody.
These are guidelines.
They're pages of guidelines.
Oh,
I have one. I don't, they're around the corner. They're just pages of ruled lines, like binder paper, only gauged for browser, whatever, browser two. They've got
Oh,
the little details on them. So I will send them to you and you can,
yeah, forward those to me.
yeah, I will
Yeah,
do that.
thanks. Thank you, Ann.
Mhm.
Patricia Coltrane also thinks your work is amazing,
Oh,
and she loves
oh,
the story.
thanks, Patricia. Yeah, I love that. Anyway, here's the some of the. Oh, I've got the family there. Those are friends. It's not the Carries. Anyway, that is that. Oh, and here's the other. Here's the full page of formal. Um,
That's
you
the
could you
formal
could say,
of the
so
table.
you just keep on trucking, and you get see how many. It goes wacky, and then it you finally can composite the what you need.
Hmm.
You
Yeah.
know, so which F to use and all that. So I always just put the alternates after it and then plug them in. Been working with the computer since the 80s.
Una
So,
pregunta, Raúl.
hmm?
¿Me ayudas, Raúl, con una pregunta?
I'm sorry?
Sí, sí, claro. Que sí.
¿Cómo maneja la diferencia de color entre el
Aha.
original y la reproducción en imprenta?
How do you coordinate the initial colors and the
The,
colors as they print? I think that's what the question is.
Ah.
the original with the print. How do you see the colors with the proofs?
Um, actually, I don't usually get proofs. Uh,
Mhm.
the proofs are usually pretty exact. I really double check everything a lot before I send it out. So,
Mhm.
uh, but I
Ajá.
would get proofs if I hadn't worked with a printer before, or if something were really tricky. Proofs, especially when you've got registration
Mhm.
and what do they call that? The when you've got overlaps of color or knockouts
Ajá.
or those things, especially in commercial work, you've got to really work with the make sure that the overlaps are there's a word for it,
Ajá.
but I haven't done it in quite a while, so I don't uh
Okay, okay, okay.
you know
Thank
the
you.
what do they call that thing? It's it's
Um,
it's either a knockout or there sometimes you have to have a slight overlap to prevent the white from gapping
yeah,
between
yeah. Uh-huh. Yes, I
between
know. Yeah,
colors
yeah.
that butt up. So
Uh-huh.
that's
Yeah,
the
yeah.
long way. That's the German way of saying it.
Yeah.
Long. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. So yeah, there are times when you need to get a proof. And actually I did get a proof of I wanted some actually it's just for the record. I wanted the this, which is the
Mhm.
menu. So I got a proof of the menu, and it's just
Ajá.
exactly like what I did. Oh, one other thing that uh, where is that thing? Oh, I'm getting to it. It's in here. Um, I'll show you the first sketch that I did. That
Mhm.
that was the first one. So I took all of the things that she wanted in there and just put them around. Um, and then this is the next. Oh, this is one of them. Anyway, that's how that looks.
Hmm.
The dog is completely messed up. So that brings up the point. So once you get a watercolor that's almost there, or you don't want to do it again, you just scan it and repaint it in Photoshop. There are
Mhm.
things you can do to just complete the thing, and that is basically what I did. Also, yeah, because there's like it seemed like 200 layers on the portraits in Photoshop after I did the drawing. After, so this was the first thing. This is the thing I scanned in. You can see,
Mhm.
how, I knew I was going to fill in the bottom, so I didn't do too much with that. And look, they're just ridiculous. But anyway, so that I had to fix in Photoshop in order to get what I came out with. And then I had pictures, um, things like this.
Ajá.
Hmm.
Just at this California rolling hills. Oh, and here's my page of numbers.
Mm.
Those were for the tables.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, and of course they can be stretched and modified and manipulated so much that you can just do that once and then work with it once you get it into the Adobe software. And I do not have a picture of the whatchamacallit, the thing she sent me of those standing panels, but they're on the web. You could just look for them, I guess. Um, I didn't have time to scan that and find it. So anyway, let me see if I have any other thoughts. Is it blank? Um, are there any other questions or like paper? I'm thinking paper, or the paper was nice. I have quite a few of these. Oh yeah, how many to print? Um, uh, so 250 guests, but uh, some get the same envelope. So you don't have as you have a lot of seats at the table, but not so many. I ordered, let's see, I ordered, I think, 200 um, of each, and we used almost. Ooh, I have about 40 left over.
Mhm.
So yeah, but I ordered quite a few extra. Not that's not the biggest cost. The biggest cost is the designer's time.
Yeah.
You
Did
know.
you did you address the envelopes manually yourself, or were
No. Yes, I did. I did. In fact,
oh,
yes,
good.
I did. And I did all the envelopes. Um, there was one. Yeah, here's one that got my big thumbprint on it, so I did it again.
Yeah, you had a lot to think about. Wow. And
Yeah.
addressing envelopes, printing the invitations, doing all the illustration.
Mhm.
Carrie Wouters was wondering Carrie Valtis, how many hours you worked on this project
Oh, I didn't count. I could though because I put it on the invoice. At least most of them. Chargeable hours versus non-chargeable hours. What are those? Um, not too many non-chargeable hours at this point. Uh,
Yeah, it sounds like
it-
a major
yeah,
project.
well, when you first go into business and you get used to charging, oh, let's see, do I dare charge $50 an hour? You know what I mean? Way, holy mackerel.
Yeah,
It is a different world. And I've just, I met people back in the 80s who would order work for me and they would say, um, I'm looking for a job, my job only pays 200 an hour and I want 250 at least. And I mean, that's in the 80s in the high tech world. And, you know, in art, it seems to be, or used to seem to be, quite different. And it can still seem that way because we as a group are I have to say this carefully, but we're undercut by people who say they do the same thing. But there's so much that each one who lives long enough d develops in their sphere of vendors and knowledge. Um, oh yes, I'm reading the chat. Yeah. It's, I love, this is the job I loved every minute of, and I love the client equally. I mean, it is just total pleasure from one end to the other. And actually feel bad about charging money for it, but it did run way into the five figures.
I'm
So,
not surprised about that.
yeah.
so, but it did, it maybe didn't have to, but it depends on what you want and and what you've got. So everything is relative, and it's just put the plant in the right place. If it needs shade, give it shade. I mean, you just have to um, realize your own worth and just set a price and go for it and don't think about it again. Um, there's a, I have a quote that I love. What is it? Uh, it's a Chinese architect's quote. I think it's online. I'm sure it is, but I found it many long time ago. But it's when I get a job, I first think about the money that I will make, and they think about it, and then I go into the forest and look at the wood. So it gives me chills every time, because the job has is such a creation and it wants to be right, but you can't be too precious about it or understate the worth of it. I think, people, because you're not satisfied with what you're putting out, I'm talking about myself and many others, artists that I talk to, you just in learning something or mastering something, you do strive for that perfection, like with anything. But because you haven't achieved it, you don't feel like you've done enough. And so that should not reflect on the cost. That's personal. Margaret, cheerio. And yeah, but not to be too philosophical about it, but really. It's a marketplace and we're a part of it. So, you know, could have been six figures. But you have to keep friends. So I always ask in terms of money, I always ask, this is going to cost something. Um, it we kind of know in advance how much it's going to be because it takes that much time. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah,
Well,
whatever.
it's a varied job, and it sounds like it was a real success. So the clients are are obviously very happy with your work. So yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Well, they can't wait to have another party, but they're gonna wait. They're gonna wait a while to get over this one.
yeah.
It'll take a while. But anyway, it's fun sharing it with you, and I enjoyed seeing you. Many faces are familiar, and Juan Luis, nice to see you.
Thank you. Thank you. And
Okay, so any
Did,
more things
yeah, did anyone else have any other questions for Anne?
about anything? Because yeah, I'm here, but um next thing, yes, I've been involved in making my new class, as you probably know, but it goes live at next month. I'm not quite finished with it yet, but it goes up a module at a time for 6 weeks online, and I'm tackling the area of notan design regarding text art and things that you can do to sharpen your perceptions and have a good time doing it, hopefully. Um, Designing and just going over the like Gestalt principles and putting them into um, lessons, a little event that you can do. So I was going to make it really for once a simple class and just have like one assignment. So I've got like two or three multi-part assignments for each week, and I'm just going to say just do what you can. But anyway, it I just want to make everything complete. It's just it's part of my curse.
Now that's through Stanford Continuing Studies.
Right,
Right.
right. So it's yeah, there's like three spots left as of today. So um and we've got a month to go. So
I put a link to that in the chat if you're interested in reading more about that
yeah.
class.
Yeah, and it may be given again. Hopefully I'll do it in next January again, but we'll see. We'll see how this one goes. But it should be a lot of fun. It just it seems like it's a great way of organizing letter forms and introducing them to painters and other people. So that was the idea, is to make it a little broader scope of target audience. So um so that's my effort, and yeah,
Um,
plus yeah.
well, thank you, Anne. Thank you so much for giving this talk for us.
Okay.
Experienced calligrapher and teacher. The next Blackletter Brunch will be on July 5th, Sunday, July 5th, the day after 4th of July. So I hope that you can attend. Cheryl Jacobson is going to be giving a talk about work she did with a found or recovered book, and that will be interesting. Cheryl recently gave a workshop for Friends of Calligraphy about preparing vellum and doing calligraphy on it.
Mm.
I think Cheryl is in on this. She's in the audience today, so I'm looking forward to hearing that from her. So, thank you all for attending then, and I will see you next month on July 5th. Thank you, Anne. Thank you so much.
You're
You.
welcome.
Thank
It was
you.
fun seeing all of you. It's
Good to
neat,
see you guys.
I'll see
Thank
you.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.